everyone, this is Joanna from Taste Porto. Happy Easter! And I am back here at the fort as usual for all big celebrations. We have the usual suspects. Mommy, say hello, Mommy.
Hello.
Hello. And Daddy, the gardener, is, outside doing stuff. So, I want to tell you a little bit about our Easter food tradition, what we are going to have for Easter lunch, what is traditional, and also I want to tell you a little bit about the desserts. So hang in tight. The most traditional meats for Easter lunch is either lamb or goatling. And in our family, we always have goatling, roasted goatling. But like any other traditional dishes, this all starts a couple of days before the lunch itself. So there's a lot of prep work. There's a lot of treatment that goes into the meat to make it tender and to make it very tasty. And so I wanna tell you a little bit about that. So the first spa treatment that the goatling is going to go under, I call it spa treatments, is a very basic one. It's just to put the pieces of goatling in water, completely covered with water, and lemon. Now, what is this going to do to the meat? First of all, Easter lunch is always on the Sunday, so you can do this on Thursday, okay? And it's going to clean the meat, tenderize it, but mostly the acid of the lemon, it's going to release some of the excess fat, which you can actually take out with your hands. Obviously, these meats, this type of dishes, you always want a certain amount of fat, but you don't want too much. So what the lemon and the water are going to do is they're going to make the fat release by itself almost. So by the end of one day and a half in the water with the lemon, you're able to take out with your hands big chunks of fat that you don't really need for the cooking. Now the second spa treatment, that's the big one. That one should take anywhere between 1 day and a half and 2 days. And you will need a couple of ingredients because this is the seasoning part. So as the picture shows, you're going to use a good white wine. You can't get away with using, box wine. You have to use a good one. A good white wine, olive oil, bay leaf, paprika, pepper, and you're gonna need some lard, okay, pork lard, and you are going to need a mortar and pestle to smash lots of cloves of garlic with salt. And as you do this, after you smash them, you're gonna add all the other ingredients and you're going to make a paste. You're gonna whisk it a little bit and it's gonna turn into a liquid paste. And you are going to soak each piece of the goatling in that paste, and you're going to lay it on whatever big recipient you have. My mom uses this very large box, but it has to be a container that fits in the fridge. So you have to do a lot of architecture sometimes inside your fridge because you need it has to be kept in the fridge. It's a delicate type of meat, so you have to keep it in the fridge. So after you soak each piece, you put it in the container, and it's going to go in the fridge for at least 1.5 days to 2 days. Very important. And this is what's going to give our goatling a very, very delicious taste. As for the side dishes to our roasted goatling, which is resting comfortably in the sauna, we are going to have some roasted potatoes with just salt, garlic, a little bit of olive oil, and some rosemary. And we are going to have a special kind of rice that mommy always makes, which is rice with the kids of the goatling. So we have kidney and we have liver.
Nope, and the heart.
No, but this is the liver, mommy.
Yes, and this is
heart. Okay, that is the heart. Okay, so heart, kidney, and liver. It's all gonna go in the pan with obviously the Holy Trinity, garlic, onion, and olive oil. Mommy's gonna stir fry that, and then she adds the rice, and we're gonna finish the rice in the oven, right, Mommy? Mm-hmm. Yes, so it's gonna be oven rice, which is, well, it's just better than normal rice. Me personally, I will be giving all of these parts to my nephews because they really like them, and I don't. I'm ashamed to say it. But I'm coming around with pork liver after 36 years of existence, but I'm still having a problem with these, so I'll just eat the rice. Okay, so mommy took the goatling out of the sauna because she is rotating the pieces so that we get a nice crispiness in all of the pieces. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Yeah, it smells very, very good.
Chanel number 5, number whatever.
Chanel number whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. Chanel number goatling.
Yeah.
Eau de goatling.
Oh, yeah.
And over here we have the onions going. Here we go, multitasking.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
Octopus Mama.
Octopus Mama, aww. Okay, so
Every mama.
all the mamas are Octopus Mama, right?
Yes.
Okay, so all the pieces have been turned. This way you get a nice crust on every piece. Shall I open the oven for you?
Yeah.
There we go. It's quite a heavy tray, but Mama can do it.
All right.
See ya. Okay, in go all the bits and pieces. I think one, oh yeah, 2 escaped. There you go. Now, I haven't mentioned one last ingredient that this rice has, which is very, very important. We love this rice like this, but mostly my nephews absolutely love this rice like this. So the last ingredient is saffron. Not only it gives, you know, a very different taste to the rice, but it also makes it yellow. So the kids absolutely love yellow rice, as they call it. So the saffron goes in first, because that's gonna season also the meat. As you can see, it was not measured. You just do it, you put in the amount that you want. A little bit more, why not?
Yeah. It's yellow.
It's yellow.
Dark yellow.
Yeah.
No, soft yellow.
It's dark yellow. And already you can smell, it's a completely different smell from just the onions and the liver and the kidneys and the heart. It just makes it a lot more perfumed. I don't know if I can say that. And then it's going to give that really nice color to the rice that the kids find very amusing. So in with 1 measure of water for now. Little bit of salt. And now what are we gonna do, Mom? We're gonna let it boil.
Let it boil.
And then we will add the rice and put it in the...
It's too soon for the rice.
I know. Okay, so we'll tell you later what happens. Okay, so we are going to finish up the rice. It has reached the boiling point. Mom had just added a little bit more water, and we're gonna finish it in the oven in this. This is also important. In Portugal, we have a great tradition of red clay or black clay. So what it says here is oven rice, okay? Arroz do forno. We have a great tradition of this type of cooking utensils, especially for the oven. And that's what we are going to finish the rice in. So Mommy's gonna put the rice in here.
Rice chutney.
We are going to just stir it a little bit, and then it goes in the container, the clay container, and it goes in the oven. In the oven we have the goatling, and we already have the potatoes because the potatoes take longer than the rice. Okay, so delicate operation to make sure nobody gets burned. Wait.
Okay.
The rice, all the rice goes in, all the little bits. Make sure you get all the bits from the bottom. That's where all the taste is. Woohoo! Okay, and posso abrir? Ooh. Sorry about the fog. Here we go. So you can see the goatling has gone downstairs. Potatoes are here, and in goes the rice.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So for how long now, Mommy? Until we have lunch?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. So half an hour we will be celebrating our Easter. Now, a very big part of Easter is all the sweets, because we've all been through Lent. And so today we get our reward We get to eat meat again, and we get to have a lot of very, very good desserts. So let me show you what we have. Some of these are very traditional to the north. Some of them are totally national. On a regular year, and I mean a non-pandemic year, we would probably have a bigger table, more people coming over, and definitely more desserts. But it's just the core family for, well, the obvious reasons. But we do have, I think, the core sweets. So let me show you. So we have our beautiful dessert table here. Let's start with the healthy part. Mom and dad always like to have a big plate of berries. So there you go. We have these little sweets, which I find very, very cute. They are made of sugar, and inside there's a little bit of liqueur, and they are like tiny little vegetables. So this is a tiny little tomato. This is a tiny little turnip, as you can see. I'm gonna put them here because I've already touched them. And there's also a tradition of having these in the shape of a baby, and we eat the babies. Don't ask me to explain, I actually don't know. But there are more shapes. There's peas, there's beans. They're a little hard, okay? So not great if you don't have good teeth, but it's definitely one of the traditions. The other traditions are candied almonds. Okay, these are very, very good. You obviously have your chocolate almonds. And over here, we have pain de lait, which is a very big sponge cake. It's a very, very fluffy sponge cake. And this is where things get really personal, I guess, because everyone has a favorite way to eat this. My grandfather, for instance, he loved to have this with his milk and milk with a little bit of coffee in the afternoon, and he loved to dunk this in the milk with the coffee. Other people like to have it toasted. Other people will smear some queijo da serra, that very, very smelly cheese. So it's a whole discussion of what's the better way to eat pain de lait. This one here is very specific. This is pain de rala. Okay, so I actually think it's more a tradition of the South. Now I'm not sure. But pain de rala is made from, eggs, of course, and lots of sugar and spaghetti squash. Okay, so a lot of people are in other cultures use spaghetti squash for savory things. We use it for sweet things. And the pièce de résistance of the Easter lunch at my parents' is my mother's nest. So she makes a nest. She makes an almond cake, then she covers it with a very rich cream of chocolate, and then she decorates it with these beautiful threads, these golden threads. And what are these threads? They are fios d'ovos, which literally means egg threads. This is something that you make with egg yolks and a mixture of sugar. You have to get it to the pearl point, and you're going to drop the egg yolk on the melted sugar by the use of a funnel. And when it's cooked, then you're going to use your fingers to shred those threads, and you get these very thin shreds of egg. They are absolutely delicious. I think they're unique to Portugal, and I think they're one of the best things that we have for our desserts.